Great, you made it. Now that we're all gathered here in this inescapable online lobby like forced intermission driving in Mario Kart now, relax your shoulders. Let's take a much-deserved break from the PvE zone of the current gaming industry, where it seems like it's an uphill battle for the players who actually try to support games now, going against everyone who makes games thinking that microtransactions will bring the fun that we've been missing all this time, you know? Not because of the exact same games for the last decade or anything. Let's get serious here. But now that we're away from all of that, let's talk like fully grown adults that are slowly getting outranked in these dungeons of new gaming generation price tags and justification for this hobby in general. A group of gamers that I like to call almost everyone existing. Came up with it myself. Because it's getting hard out here, man. Take it from a wizard. Buying games at full price, or even that tease of less than half off for first party games that Nintendo likes to call deals. It is getting it has been for the longest time very hard to pay any high prices for video games if you just aren't already 10 toes down on the Wii balance board in support of whatever that game has going on out of the box. Or really out of the download key. CDs are one generation away from museums. The moment that you realize that higher retail prices for games does not, and I repeat like an NPC with one dialogue line, does not always reflect a higher standard of quality in this industry, is the day that you will unlock the secret ending of playing games years after they come out once they're on a site-wide discount, likely in tandem with also unlocking a new Game Plus mode of how you obtain your games going forward, being the illegal yet satisfyingly easy methods of video game piracy, aka the act of circumventing paying for a title through illegally downloading or distributing it, an act which on camera I'm inclined to say that I obviously don't support it, and I do think it's wrong, as I put this Nintendo 3DS over here and this completely unrelated SD card reader over there. Man, what a random assortment of hardware at my disposal this evening. Again, let me remind you, we're talking as adults with all the disposable income in the world to spend on paying shit off eventually. It's no endgame spoiler nor uncommon knowledge to know that piracy in video gaming is an epidemic that will never truly go away, no matter how hard it might possibly get in the future generations due to obviously more crackdowns. I say that at least until Nintendo throws enough money at their legal team to claim ownership of the entire internet traffic. Don't think they aren't trying. Pirating video games is one of the universe's natural ways of navigating life, whether it's due to financial burden or hell, lack of access to a delisted game any other legal way. Once you load into this side of the hobby, it'll be kind of hard to not make piracy your main save file that you always come back to when it comes to just even accessing games. That's just how it is, man. I don't make the rules, I just follow the readme.txt files and the illegal zip folders. However, as widespread as piracy is on all ends of the spectrum and is rapidly growing in player count as more people just have a PC laying around somewhere in their household, it's easy to praise the act of being able to play the latest paid games for free and just protesting sweet capitalism, but people rarely ever talk about the somewhat inconsistencies that pirating games can have that you really only notice if you've been partaking in this hobby for quite some time. Piracy is the equally monumental depths compared to the current game industry market's above ground Hyrule. In contrast, however, with piracy, I think it's pretty established that you have access to essentially anything for a system at practically any given moment, so it definitely isn't like a rare year occurrence to see players take advantage of this fact to the point where they damn near get choice paralysis when it comes to playing pirated games, when they basically have the entire Steam front page installed yet barely any incentive to play any of that shit. It's a very weird and ironic phenomenon that I feel like players may experience more towards their early GTA criminal ranking of being introduced to piracy and the whole novelty of figuring out what the hell seeding means on torrent files, but understanding why it happens is an important step in preventing any sailing pirates in the near future from falling into the deep end of the high seas and possibly out of even caring about gaming anymore. Because who are we kidding, man? People with insane collections of games even before piracy is involved can be more indecisive than Xbox's brand identity right now. Dudes with a maxed out 5-layer shelf bookcase of video games will look you dead in the optic stems and tell you I don't know what to play. It's me, I'm Dudes. Dudes is me. There is this stupid hunting and gathering instinct that players can feel at certain times when it comes to getting potentially new games to play. The feeling being the pawing on your shoulders guiding you to get all these different games just to have for later, to which in that moment you buy them or obtain them, you actually convince yourself that you'll end up beating all these games at some point, while the last game haul of yours is still waiting to be played, of course. And listen, don't get it twisted. That is your God-given right as a gamer. We're only assured death, taxes, and CD games eventually being put in generic GameStop cases in this lifetime. So if you wanna buy, or in this case download every title conceivable and then not do shit with it, that is well within your terms of service as a human being. But once you start stretching your gaming interest and what you give attention to playing at one time just so thin, it might not happen all the time, but you can't be surprised when that hypothetical rubber band pops back at you and now your whole libido for playing games at all just ceases to exist. Because for the people looking outside in, you gotta understand, pirating video games is ultimately a community effort. Yeah, your ISP might only send you a warning for, downloading illegal stuff, but the mega thread that you found that stuff in was curated by the Avengers of the internet. There is a lot of pride and camaraderie within piracy on the internet as people grow more tired of literally every industry. But within gaming though, some people just feel more a part of a movement when they share just how many games that they've decided to pirate in this recent period of time, or hell, just the fact that they've stopped buying games altogether and have long since signed their life over to piracy. I know you've heard that before. It's just like literally any other gaming community that ever existed, just more under the books. So if you do decide to partake in the whole community aspect of it all, at least as far as engaging with other people, it can be easy to catch yourself up in the moment and just pirate games on a whimsical instinct, which isn't a terrible way to live, well, outside of it being piracy and shit, but I wouldn't doubt it'd be a much more controlled and easier to digest and enjoy experience if you went into game piracy with a set mindset of the games that you're playing and continue just getting the ones that you truly do want to play. Because man, outside of that, it can just lead to a loss of purpose if your whole aim is to actually play games and not just collect them. That and a loss of wasted storage along the way. You get tired of burning 60 on SSDs. The burnout that you receive from a lengthy gaming backlog is very much real no matter what the means you got your games from. Gaming is only ever supposed to be a fun hobby, so once that fun turns into 15 minutes of looking at your game library before giving up and just taking a damn nap, you know you got a problem somewhere, because you shouldn't ever have to force yourself to play a game or just even find one to enjoy. Because another factor that contributes to choice paralysis that can be prevalent in, game piracy that you might not want to hear right now or even relate to, but still within subconscious reasoning, it's the financial value of paid games absolving its worth to you once you obtain it for free after pirating it. I know it sounds crazy, let me cook, I just put it in the oven. See dude, like I alluded to earlier in my SNL opening monologue, paying for a video game sets a Mario checkpoint flag of at least some level of commitment to playing through a game. I mean, I'd assume you'd value the dollar you spend on the title, no matter how few of them it takes to get one of those damn eShop scam games you'll see on the front page. You see, even if it's only a minute thought in the back of your cerebellum, a game that you paid money for versus a game that you will just play for free will likely register some sort of difference within your headcanon. And that small, less thought about difference can mean all of the world to how you perceive the games that you pirate versus the games that you didn't, creating a scenario where it's just so easy to not give a shit about those pirated games and just always look for the next rush of just finding another illegal download. I think my point is cooking well right now, but I'ma season it so you really understand what I'm trying to say. This same pricing philosophy is a common trait you'll see passed around in the indie game discussions, where developers share the need to contemplate what is a good price for their video games that they're putting out by themselves, because obviously too high of a price for a game that the general public isn't familiar with risks, well, nobody buying it. However, also putting too low of a price may deteriorate the perceived value of that title as nothing more than fodder on a digital platform that might as well be a freaking mobile game. So with that, unfortunately, it does go to show you that the appearance surrounding the pricing exclusivity in some ways definitely matters to some players. So, you know, if you take this huge milestone AAA game that costs all the coins in your inventory at that current moment, before you even reach the title screen of that title, that specific game is already going to have an impact for you to remember it due to you going that week hungry with no more money left after buying it. Obviously not the best feeling even if that game is good, and even worse if it's bad, but again, at least there is some form of incentive keeping you alert with the game long enough to know if you want to get your money back or not. And with pirated video games, you can obviously just delete what you don't want, but the entire, lack for a better word, risk of it all, it just kind of wears off once you realize that there isn't a game that you don't really have a barrier against not being able to play at all. Hell, I mean, it's one of the reasons that gaming hits so hard for people who were gaming as a child. Most of us as kids could only get like 1 or maybe 2 games at a time, so we treasured those experiences for as long as we possibly could, until we could make that birthday money stretch into maybe the latest game releasing. You remember the struggle. It's easy to forget that all the little tiny intricacies in gaming make up the whole part of what makes this hobby special. And while piracy is a beautiful thing, you know, for criminals, I don't support that. As much as it can be your savior, too much of literally anything in this world at some point will just highlight the flaws that it may have and lose meaning in your life to what it once used to be. So I just think that it's essential to understand what you play before you set sail in these seas of, you know, piracy. But hey man, what the fuck do I know? I'm just a wizard. If you just wanna hit it and quit it with these pirated video games and just come back to your favorite website to sample all these new titles releasing, man, do you, man? Some players use these methods of pirating video games as just ways to see even if they'll like a game, at least until they find one they actually enjoy, and you never know, they might actually end up buying it. Probably not, but they might. At the end of the day, it all completely depends on you. All that I'm trying to do as a mage is highlight these choices that potentially lead to issues in your gaming lifestyle, and then hopefully do my fair part in just helping someone save themselves from frustrating themselves completely out of the medium, whether they buy games or pirate them. And that's all that I got for today, man. If you enjoyed, leave a like on the video, subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video.